Hey everyone, so it's another day here in the ant village. Always a different task to do each day. And today's task is bicycle repair. This is my mountain bike. I love this bike, but the rear derailleur is not supposed to look like that. It's been giving me problems ever since I was at a mountain, like lift service mountain bike park in Idaho last summer, and went off a drop and my derailleur went into my wheel. And I managed to fix it then, but I think this time it's terminal. So I've got another derailleur, new one, psyched on that, and a derailleur hanger, and I'm gonna fix this so I can ride my bike around, because I've been having to walk everywhere. And from here over to Allerton Abbey, where I charge my phone, it's where the toilet's at. That's like a 250-yard walk, so I'm tired of walking that. It's much more fun to ride. And I'm looking forward to riding with my friends out in Hood River. There's all kinds of good bike trails out there. Yeah, really excited about that. So I'm going to get this fixed up and get it ready to go. So I got my new derailleur on there. This is the old derailleur hanger. Look at that. Nice and twisted. Yeah, I got it on there. Got it adjusted. I used to work at a bike shop, so I learned how to do all this stuff. But adjusting derailleur is actually pretty simple. Most of it, you just got to get your cable here in tension. That adjusts how far it goes up each time you click, and you can adjust that on the little, there's usually a little knob right here on the shifter that'll adjust the tension on that. And then you've just got two little limit screws. See these guys right here? Two little limit screws right here, and those adjust how far up and down it can go. So my problem is my my low limit screw is too loose and let my derailleur go into the spokes. So that was not good, but I got it all installed and adjusted, so let's go check it out. Hey everybody, I'm up here at neighbor Tom's house. My property, we've been working on this. I just want to show you guys what we've been doing up here. We built this whole, we put up all these walls from floor up. All this, 3 people in 2 days. So, you know, I'm just showing, if you got enough money to buy all the materials up front, you can get yourself a cabin in the woods for real quick. Maybe 3 weeks on this project so far. It's a lot different from what we're doing now in the ant village, but, you know, everybody has their own way of doing things, and there's lots of different options. Man, so I just went out and got a tree. I worked up at Tom's today again, but it's nice and cool now. The sun's gone behind some clouds, so I figured I'd go get a ponderosa to get some more material to mill up. I'm tired. It was hard. I got this big tree right here. This is probably the biggest log I've tried to mill up yet, but it's pretty heavy. But I managed to get it onto my tailgate and slide it into my truck along with this other one and get it onto the mill. It's got this interesting little kind of wound that was covered up, so I'm gonna cut that out and see what it does. There might be some cool patterns in there on the wood. This is probably the biggest log I could do on my mill, because it's about 12 inches wide on this side, so I might even have to peel some of this bark to get it out of the way. I didn't drag it, so it's not dirty. I just might need to get the thickness down a little bit. But, more milling. That's what I've been doing these past few days, so I'm gonna get back to it. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about how I set up the first cut on the log when I'm using my chainsaw mill. Because this is the most important cut, and it takes the longest, but it sets up all the rest of the cuts through the log, and those go really quick if you get this right. So I've got these 2x6s up on top of the log, because that gives these guides right here a nice flat surface to run along, flat and parallel or straight, so that they can make a good first cut with the blade, guide the blade through the log. I've got to, make a flat spot on top of the log under this bark, so that on the second cut, when I'm actually making a board, there'll be a nice flat spot for the guides to run on. But because these are, you know, natural trees, they're tapered. One end is wider than the other end, so I've got to compensate for that. So the way I do that is with my tape measure. I measure from the board here on the wide end down to the center of the log, the core, the heart right there. So this one's about 5 3/4 inches. So I go over to the small end, and the small end is what limits how many boards you can get out of each log. So I'm doing 2-inch boards, and each board takes up about 2 1/4 inches once you add in the curve for the blade. And so as you can see, this one's only 4 inches from the top. So what I have to do is put spacers underneath this board to make it so that it's the same distance from there to the center. So now it's at 5 3/4. So I just fill that in with spacers, whatever I got, to make it flat. Put something in the middle there so it doesn't bow. And just the weight of this just holds it on top of the log. If I was trying to get really precise, I'd probably attach it somehow, but this works. So now I've got a nice even cut right here, same distance from the center on each side. So once I got the rail on and I've compensated for the taper in the log, I can come down here to the front of the mill, or the back, whatever way you look at it, and I can adjust for where my cut is going to enter the log, how deep that first cut is going to be. And so on this side I want it to be 1.5 inches from the bottom of this board, and so I just bring my blade over from the saw. I can measure. I gotta bring the log up a little bit, so get my tape measure out of there. I've got this car jack under here, and I found I can just use my drill to make it work faster. I can bring the log up, check my measurement. And that's about right. So the next step is to make sure that that end is at the right height too. And so when I set this rail in, I made sure it was level. So all I've got to do is put my level on top of this guide rail and then raise the other side until that's level too. And then the saw will just follow it, and this guide will make sure it's at the same height. I forgot that step. I have to lower this guide down onto here to make sure that it's the same distance on both sides, and then I'll be ready to go. So like I said, to make sure it's even on both sides, I can just come over here, my level up on top of the rail, and then raise this up or lower it until that's level. This side's a bit less sensitive from that side, so I just use my chainsaw tool to make it turn. Alright, it's all flat and level. I should be able to make my first cut. Hey, so I'm back down from a neighbor's house. Finished working. There's a little bit of light left today, so decided to keep working on my milling project. One thing about milling with the chainsaw is you're constantly having to sharpen your chains. They get dull, and saw doesn't work very well. Mill doesn't work very well if the chain's dull. So you got to sharpen it. Thankfully, my friend gave me this handy little sharpener. Plugs into the cigarette lighter in my truck, and turn on. Just got kind of a Dremel thing. It spins. Works pretty well. So I'm going to show it to you. Doesn't have a very long cord, so I got to do it on my hood, but you just got to kind of kiss it in there. Second, that's it. The nice part is you can do both sides of your chain at once without having to turn the saw around. So that's it. Hi. So not a whole lot to report today. Spent another day up at the neighbors working. We were building a floor for the second cabin that they're building up there. I think they're going to build 4 or so cabins in total. More like houses. They're like 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses with kitchens and everything. But yeah, we're putting together floor joists on top of another floor in the sun on top of white Tyvek covering, so it's just like baking out there, being reflected at the whole time. So we got it done. I was pretty tired after that. I ended up actually just coming back and taking a nap. But I did borrow a ladder from the neighbor up there, so I could get ready to go on my trip. I wanted to cover my house, see in the back here, get the tarps properly over that, so if it does rain when I'm gone, all my stuff doesn't get wet. So yeah, I might go up there, work another half day tomorrow, and then start getting ready for the trip. I'm excited about it. Go see my sister, see my friends. I might even head out to the coast and do some surfing. So we'll see. That'd be nice. Yeah, I'll check back in tomorrow. Check out Evan's little ducklings swimming around in his pond. Mamas are guarding them. Yeah, there. So it's end of July here in the ant village, and there's lots of stuff flowering right now. So I want to give you guys a little tour around my plot, show you what it looks like in this time of the season. It's midsummer. It's been really hot in the 90s this week. Last rain we got was maybe 2 weeks ago. We got some pretty good rain, but I think it brought all the flowers out. So I'm gonna start here. You can see all the knapweed is flowering. It's all these purple flowers. This is everywhere, and I'm letting it flower because the bees really like this. It's a good source of forage for them, for the honeybees we got here and all the other pollinators. But it's also allelopathic, and it kind of prevents other things from growing around it. As you can see, this whole patch right here is all just knapweed. And so I'm going to let it flower, let the bees do their thing, and then when I come back I'm going to probably chop it all down so before it goes to seed, and try to keep it from growing too much on my plot because I want to let other things grow. But as you can see, there's a bee. They love it. Lots of good nectar and pollen for them. We also got here a lot of this. This is St. John's wort. There's a bunch of this around on the plot. This is good for tea or just eating straight. They're kind of tasty. It's supposed to help with depression, things like that, make you feel good. I don't know. There's a little bit of yarrow. All kinds of yarrow growing around here. It actually grows really big. This one's not a very good example. I'll find another one for you. You can see more knapweed growing up on here. This hasn't flowered yet. Here's a big yarrow. Got those big umbrella flowers. And these leaves right here, really cool looking leaves, but if you get a cut, you can just kind of chew this up and put it on top of the cut and it'll stop bleeding real quick. Good for all kinds of stuff. Good medicinal plants. See more St. John's wort, lots of knapweed out there too. Coming over here, we got the mullein. All the mulleins starting to flower around here. This is some of the biggest mullein I've seen here in the lab. Not these plants particularly, but just other places. It seems to grow bigger than anywhere I've ever seen it. But I grow 1 to 4 to 5 of these stalks. The bees like this too. And once it's done flowering and gone to seed, you can kind of just grab these stalks off and wave them around like a magic wand and spread your seeds all around. Mullein's a great plant. It'll grow on gravel piles. It loves just bad soil, poor nutritional soil, so it'll grow on top of gravel piles. You see it growing out of cracks. You can also use it as toilet paper. Makes a really nice toilet paper, actually. Move around here. Well, looks like we got some bull thistle over here as well. These got real pretty flowers on them. Not related to artichokes. Pretty sure you can eat this too. You can eat most thistles. But I might actually take this out before it seeds because I don't want a bunch of thistles around spiking on me. Although, you know, all these plants that we call weeds, they're doing work that nature put them there to do. A lot of them send a taproot down, bring up nutrients from way down below, bring it up to the surface so it can build soil. Plants are always trying to build soil, even the thistles. And I kind of feel like the thorns are telling us to keep out so that nature can repair the damage. But we can also speed up that process of soil building. That's what permaculture is all about. So this is the unmulched part of my berm. See, there's mostly knapweed growing up here. Real big mullet up there, hasn't sprouted yet. And then I'm not sure what these are. I don't know what I planted. These were flowering a bit earlier. This is the daikon radish. Lots of those flowers on here. More over here. More thistle. Got some snowberry up here. Those make little white berries. Not really edible, but pretty. And then we got all kinds of this vetch with these purple flowers. That's a nitrogen fixer, so it's helping to build soil on here, along with the daikon radish, the buckwheat. And I did a video about this berm when I first got here called Little Mulch Goes a Long Way. Kind of an experiment I'm doing on this berm, since I'm not going to do more earthworks over here. I'm kind of experimenting with ways to build soil on these berms. And so I had mulched this back in April and seeded it and mulched it, and that seemed to help a lot of these plants come up. And then I knew that this hot weather was coming, so a couple weeks ago I threw a bunch more of these boughs on here. Maybe almost too much, because it just kind of covered everything. But I figured that all these plants under here could use the shade. The soil could definitely use the shade to keep the water in there. But there's things that are poking back through. All the radishes poke back through. All this vetch poked through. Even got a couple of I planted a bunch of these tomatoes in here. I've only found 3 or 4 of them so far. I think I planted 12. But they're under there somewhere. I imagine some of them will come through. Some of them might have died from being covered a bit too much, but this is a good experiment, seeing how I can build soil, what works best. We've got a little lupin in here too, some clover, just a mix of different cover crop seeds. These are the radishes. They're going to seed right now. They flowered out earlier, so I can collect all these seed pods and have more cover crop seeds. If I plant some of these closer to winter, I hear that if you plant the radish kind of late so that it doesn't have time to flower and seed, it'll produce that big tuber. And daikons produce a really big tuber. Really tasty, especially if you pickle it. So yeah, that's just a little tour about what's going on here, what it looks like this time of year. This place changes every few weeks. It looks a little bit different. So I'll try to give you guys updates in the future as it progresses. Welcome to another version of Ant Village Kitchen. Today we're going to make a sauerkraut. I've got this cabbage and I don't want it to go bad while I'm on my trip, so I'm going to make it go bad on purpose. Make some sour cabbage. As you can see, sauerkraut's so easy to make, you don't even need a kitchen. Do it in the back of a truck. So all you need is cabbage, salt, some jars. You can start out by just chopping up your cabbage into whatever size strips you like. If you like little tiny slivers or big chunks, whatever you like. So I like to cut mine into like about 1/2 inch thick strips, make it a little chunky. And you just put that in your bowl and put a little bit of salt on it. Maybe a lot of salt. And the salt will help start taking the moisture out of the cabbage, making it lose its moisture so you can get a little liquid in there. And once you got all your cabbage in the bowl, kind of just squish it around. Make sure you get salt on all of it. And then you just kind of let it sit for a few minutes, let all that soak in. And keep coming back and kind of massaging it until there's a lot of liquid in there. Alright, so I've let this sit for about 15 minutes, did a bunch of massaging, got a little bit of liquid in there. If you don't get a lot, it's alright. Then you just got to put it inside your jars. I don't have any wide mouth jars, that'd be a lot easier, but this works. And you notice it's not being very clean. Might freak some people out. And I'm not in a very clean environment. But really what I'm trying to do is encourage bacterial growth. So you don't have to be clean. I mean, it does help to have your clean bowls and clean hands and all that. But what we're going to do, like I said, encourage the bacterial environment. But we're going to encourage a specific type of bacteria that we want, which will discourage other bacteria that we don't want. And we do that by making sure everything is underwater and salted. And that makes it an anaerobic process. And so we get those anaerobic bacteria, similar to the ones that are in our gut. So you pour a little bit of liquid in there. I'm going to split it half and half. And those anaerobic bacteria take over and prevent all the bad bacteria that we don't want from growing. And they also transform the cabbage into something really tasty. I think it's tasty, some people don't like it. But it is really good for your digestion. So like I said, if you don't get a lot of liquid, it's okay. You can use water to top it off. You just want to make sure that all the cabbage is underwater. You can even put like a stone or something on a weight on top to push it all down. Just going to cover it up like that. And then you just want to let it sit for maybe 2 weeks, depending on how cold or warm it is. I put a cap on. I don't tighten it down, just enough to keep the bugs and the creatures out here. You see that ring is going to be loose. The air can escape because it's going to bubble. Yeah, like I said, just keep all the cabbage underneath the water. Magic will happen in there. Get all the bubbles out. And in about 2 weeks you'll have sauerkraut. Really good. I like to add it to pretty much everything. Helps you digest, tastes good. And it's a good way to preserve cabbage. You can do the same thing with greens. I've done it with kale, mustard greens. It gets really spicy. You can do it pretty much a lot of vegetables you can ferment like this. So there you have it. I'm gonna put the rest of this in another jar and I'll have 2 jars of sauerkraut in about 2 weeks. Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, end of July, and I'm about to head out on our trip. You know, this week most of what I did was work up there at the neighbor's house, helping them out. But I made enough money to go on this trip, so that's really cool. It's always fun to get away and have a little adventure. But yeah, I just packed up my stuff. Got the truck all packed up. Got my bikes. Got my surfboard. Ben's coming with me. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to share this week or these last few days. And keep on watching. If you like the videos, go out to patreon.com/JesseGrimes. Become a patron. You guys can follow me on Instagram at OneHeartFire. I'll have data on my phone this week, so I'll try to be posting little updates from my little trip. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.